introduce TJ Gerlach, who teaches English at Colorado Mesa University. He has an MFA from the University of Utah and a PhD, Dr. Gerlach, from the University of Denver. Various journals have been fooled into publishing his work. So, TJ Gerlach.
I feel like this chair is like a great democracy. You're all be on the same level, right? Is that right? Yeah. I guess I'm not exactly sure on the format protocols, so what I'd like to do is read a piece of John's first. It's I dig it. And if it may be so presumptuous, I would like to, I can't dedicate it because he wrote it, but I would like to do a shout out to Donald Sterling. The poem is called Black God Walks. Black God, God of languages, God of death, from whom coyote steals fire. Just north of Cayenta, a dark volcanic neck faces a redstone spire, its finger pointing the way to the sun. Some of the Hogans have dish antennae, flash of welding arc, power lines, coyote's fire, highway down the middle. A massive water tower, with big black letters that spell Cayenta. Two boys with a black dog, pregnant, tests bulging, behind them a pair of shadow men, walking doppelgangers. West of Cayenta, reefs of sandstone limbs, wrinkled like a reptile's skin, rise from the great earth. Scattered junipers, black goats, grandfather on horseback. New electric railway, old windmills, water tanks, and a rainstorm. Long blue line of the Caballito Plateau. In a dust storm, a black stallion mounts a white mare, cinnamon dust cutting across shell desert, painted ground and hoodoos. A maze of arroyos, glittering broken glass, empty wooden shelters, and arrayed jewelry line the highway. San Francisco Peak, home of the gods, emerges from rain and clouds, the place where a black god walks. There are some really cool visual rhymes in this as well. I mean it's a bit. So I'm not a poet. I'm a fiction writer. So I'm a little out of my element here. I didn't know quite how to do the line breaks or whatever. That's not my thing. This is just straight. Hit tab, it goes over. But I guess I threw this out here because there's a quasi-Zen element, which I thought might fit in with John's aesthetics. So he said it was okay. So I guess I didn't offend the Zen. I hate reading pieces twice, but this is the second time I've read this. I apologize if you've heard it before, but it's called Audibility. My son Jake comes home from school. He is 7, and you can bet on him coming home from school at least once a week with some doozy to share, some prized nugget that has blown his mind and that he's held on to through recess, through lunch, through the 20-minute bus ride home, and which he is now ready to lay on me. Dad, he says, the surface of Venus is 864 degrees. Dad, he says, mosquitoes have 47 teeth. Dad, he says, crickets have ears in their knees. But today is different. I can tell right away something's not right. He doesn't come into the kitchen and bring up a second pot of coffee and ask for a snack, nor does he turn on the TV for the 30 minutes he's allotted before dinner. Instead, he goes straight to his room where I find him lying on his bed staring up at a poster of Spider-Man. What's up, sport? I say. I sit down at the foot of the bed and jiggle one of his toes. Dad, he says, when a tree falls down, does it make a noise? I think so. I'm not as quick as my son, so I don't see where this is going right away. But what if nobody's there? Oh, I say, I got you. This is one of those one-hand clapping type deals. Jake sits up in a panic. What? He says. I quickly steer us back to the tree. You're saying if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one around to hear it, does it make a sound? And no cameras, he says, or recorders or anything. And I can sense we are on delicate father-son terrain here, so I consider my next move carefully. Pal, I say, I think the whole point of the question is to not answer it. Like, what's kind of cool about it, the non-answer. This doesn't satisfy him, but it appeases him for the moment. He lays back on the bed, laces his fingers together, and places them behind his head. I pat him on the leg and stand up. Maybe put some time in on homework before dinner, huh? I say. Make Mom happy? Jake's mood carries over to dinner. He's sulky. Nikki looks at me for an explanation, but I shrug. The three of us eat in silence. I watch Jake twirl spaghetti on his fork, infinite coils that only reluctantly make it to his mouth. I see 1,000 trees falling inside his head, not one of them giving him an answer he can live with. I clean up after dinner. I put the leftover spaghetti in lunch-sized Tupperwares, scrub the pots, then, accompanied by the sudsy hum of the dishwasher, I pour the last of the day's coffee, turn off the lights, and sit at the table to watch Nikki and Jake do homework in the living room. They've got every light on in there, blazing away. From inside the dark kitchen, it's like I'm in my own private drive-in. They're working on times tables, a series of index cards that Nikki holds up and then either places in a right or wrong pile, depending on Jake's answer. At the end of each round, Nikki picks up the wrongs and shuffles them expertly like a Vegas card dealer. Then they go through the process again. Math isn't Jake's best subject, but he's better than this. The wrong pile hits an impasse filled with 7s, 8s, and 9s. Come on, hon, concentrate, Nikki says. You need to get through these before bedtime. Mom, if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one around, not even a hidden microphone or some guy 1,000,000 miles away with this amazing telescope that can see and hear, does it make a noise? Nikki doesn't blink. Of course it does. But how do you know? Because a tree always makes a sound when it falls. But sound means someone has heard it. The noise of a tree falling is its own thing. It doesn't need someone to hear it. It might. It doesn't. A tree doesn't have eyes or ears. It doesn't have a brain. It doesn't know whether or not anyone is around. Every time a tree falls, it's like it's alone. That last line was a good one. I can tell from Jake's face he isn't 100% convinced, but he has no comeback for that last line. After a few more rounds of the wrongs, they're finally vanquished and it's time for bed. Jake comes into the kitchen and gives me a hug goodnight. Nikki packs his school things and follows him upstairs. I go out to the living room and take a pillow and a fleece blanket from the hall closet. I take the back cushions off the sofa and make myself a bed. 2 months ago, I had an affair. An affair that 3 nights ago, Nikki found out about. I consider myself lucky to even have the sofa. I won't go into the details of it, how stupid it was, how sorry I am, or even the fact that technically it went unconsummated. You can convince yourself otherwise, but there is no gray area when it comes to something like that. An affair officially becomes an affair when it hurts the person you love. Which is why I know that Nikki was wrong when she said what she said about the tree in the woods. When a tree falls in the woods and there's no one to hear it, it does not make a sound. That's a fact. Just like it's a fact that I don't snore when I'm out here on the sofa. When I'm in bed with my wife, I know that I snore because I can count on receiving at least 1 or 2 prods a night, a jab at the ribs and a mumbled, for God's sake, turn over. But out here, nothing. The truth is that there are phenomena in this world, and these phenomena need other phenomena to exist. What's that old line? Drunk is invisible until you stumble in public. And we all know how a lie isn't really a lie until someone believes you. That's life, perceived or unperceived. present or absent, every moment loaded with clumsy possibility, a passing chance at being heard.